Today we're taking a look at the Guogen, Guogen digital caliper. Now, I'm not sure whether it's Chinese or from Taiwan. We might have a look inside some of the documentation, see if it says again on there on the actual unit. I'm presuming it's Chinese, but it's actually quite a good caliper. I was relatively surprised with it. I thought you were going to get the usual shortcomings that you get with cheap import calipers, but not really with this one. I didn't notice any. I'll take a look at it. I'll check it with some slip gauges this time, and I'll also I'll bring out that step block and we'll take a few measurements and compare it to that Moore and Wright one that we took a look at before, and we can see the difference. If you can still get one of these on eBay or online, maybe Alibaba, or is it AliExpress, something like that. It's something you can actually get a good deal with for your money, so I'll take a look at that. Okay, so if we take a look at our calipers case, I've had it for a little while, so some marks on here. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's some runoff of some rust or something, metal that I've had lying on it that's gone a bit rusty. You can see you've got your 0 to 150mm on there, and you've got some Far Eastern writing on there, so you can say it says Guogen, whether that's Guogen or Guogen, however it's pronounced. I don't know, that's what you got to look for anyway. Inside the case, that's good because that's what the case is designed for, to stop the caliper itself from getting anything on it, so it's done its job. It is a hard case. These do switch quite nicely actually. Those little switches are quite good. The hinge has stood up for the length of time that I've had it. There's no cracking or snapping of the hinges. These parts here or here. A lot of plastic hinge cases, sometimes you have one that's snapped off halfway there or something, and you just can't, you're just clinging on with it and it still works, or you still use it but you have to kind of take the top off and then lock it down because it has broke. But these have lasted the course. Seems hard enough. So you open the unit, you've got the caliper there. He said it's hardless. He said it's hardened stainless steel. You got your usual metric and ISO table on there. You got your Whitworth down on the back if you ever need that. I have a Zeus book anyway, for all my engineering stuff, so it's nice that it's there than it's not. I think they're on most of them, even most of the cheap ones now. I think they copy all the more expensive ones. Well, there's no bag. It doesn't come in a bag like the Moore and Wright. So there is that, but you do get yourself a quality control card. However you take that, you know, is up to you, but there is one in there, you know, whether you take that seriously or not. And you do have a little instruction manual inside. Basic telling you about spillage and things like that. So there's no rating for the suds and things like that on it. You know how waterproof it is, so I'd bear that in mind. I'd give them a wipe down with a rag in your pocket or whatever if you're using them, if you are going to use them at work, you know, and you're checking a suddy job that's got some suds on it. Usually should wipe that down anyway, because you don't want it interfering with measurements, but just be careful you don't spill too much fluids on the unit itself, because there is no actual, you know, you usually get a rating, don't you, but there's no actual rating on this. Yeah, there's no actual ratings. It's just a basic workings, things like that. So you got your unit specifications there. There might be a snapshot of that. Might be useful for you. Stop it from bending over. Okay. So the only thing I'll say is the average battery life. It says continuous use 1 year, normal use 3 years. So if you stick a battery in there, it'll last you 3 years. Occasional use, DIY at home, in your workshop and whatever. If you're using it for machining, day in, day out, it'll last you a year. Continuous use. I do have issue with that. The battery life isn't. The battery life in this isn't particularly great. But then again, a lot of the batteries that I've bought, I did go in the local pound shop as well and buy a lot of their batteries, which last well enough in it for what you'd use it for. If you got a lot of them, it doesn't matter, because you can just take the one out and throw it away, which is what I've got anyway. But you know, usually I'll use decentish batteries. This one's for the more and right, and things like, you know, decent companies like Maxell and things like that. But I have got a spare one. I always do, because there's no room for a spare one in this case. But I'll just use a bit of masking tape, as you can see there, and mask it up. Now, when you turn this on, I can see automatically that it's blinking and flashing, which is telling me that it's usable, but it's telling me that the battery is almost on its way out. So that's why it flashes when the batteries. That's where most measuring instruments or digital measuring instruments in engineering do their flash, when it's on its way out. So it'll still work, look, and it'll still give you a reading, and you can still read that just fine, 1485. So it'll probably be all right for this video. We can still see the reading. Bit annoying that it's flashing, but that's what I'm saying. The battery life, it doesn't tend to be as good as what it says it does on that paper, but it is, for the money, it is a very good caliper. I think they cost about £12, I think now, if I remember, something like that, around £12–13. So they're not even into the 15 range, and they are. I mean, that the action on there is very nice for an import caliper of that price. See, zero that. See if we zero it and throw it all the way back and forward a few times. It wasn't zero before. See, it's holding it zero pretty well. The blades are pretty nice, pretty well ground. there isn't no visible gap that I can see between those top two, which is sometimes a problem. The lock works as it should. You got that battery cover there. It is those usual tiny button cell ones, which is LR44 is what's in it at the minute, so it's not a big one. Like those, these are the more easier ones to be able to find, to buy. They're just a basic watch, battery. Obviously I've just pulled the battery out a little bit there. That's to zero it again, so there we go. There's the roller. Yeah, the back, there's an etched serial number on there. Screw fixing in here is done very very neatly, to be honest. It's really not like a lot of the really cheap looking ones. It's not dirty in there at all. It's been cut and ground very, very well, as you can see. Yep, the actual depth blade. Isn't too bad or dirty either. It's nice and clean. So you see, it doesn't really lose its zero when you put it back and forward, like I've already seen. Once you zero it properly, which usually they're a bit all over the place, the cheap imports. You know, it'd usually be saying 0.5 or something, or 0.8, or you know, because it just loses its tracking on the roller and you bring it backwards and forwards quickly. We don't have that with this. Obviously you got your usual imperial and metric conversion there, so you can have either inches or the metric. You can just convert it in a single button press, which if you're a machinist or a tool maker is good, because if a company, which they do to save money a lot of the times, I've said this before, they if they need to buy a lathe or an extra lathe to get some extra work done off another person, and there's one at an auction or something that's going cheap, and all the dials and everything, the spindles and everything, the increments on it are all imperial, to save themselves 20 to 40 pound, they'll go and buy that imperial machine, even if everything that your company makes is in metric, with metric measurements, just to be a pain in the arse. Just to be a pain in the arse and save 20 quid, the company will go and buy that lathe that's all in imperial. So this kind of thing is easier for you. So if you've got yourself something that you're cutting, and you need to mill a side that's you know, I don't know, let's say 30 mil. So you're looking at milling something that's 30 mil. You can just find 30 mil easily on there. That's almost 30 mil. Let's just say that's intolerance. You can find it easy if you actually put the lock on and just gently there you go. If you just put the lock on a tiny bit, you'll be able to find it. Just gently move it back. Don't lock it down, but just to it touches a little bit to slow the movement down. Then you can press convert to an inch, and you know what it should be on your in inches straight away from your drawing. So it's a quicker way to get your things machined in that sense. That's what companies do that, and it is a pain in the backside really. What they should be doing is saying, well, for the sake of between 20 and £100, it's more productive. It's much more productive for the company to be able to quickly machine the metric components that we have, and then the few imperial components that we might produce every now and again. Then it's easier to convert the metric back, like we just showed there, but the opposite way around, you know, back into metric. But they don't. I've been in that situation before. They don't do that. Why, I don't know, but there you go. So we'll test these out. I did say I'd test them against the Moore and Wright as well. I will have to put a battery in the Moore and Wright caliper. Okay, so we have both here. This one will flash, like I say, because the battery is on its way out, but it should be fine for the video. We can see that that's 0.312. It's just flashing a little bit. It is quite a nice big screen actually. If you can compare it to the Moore and Wright, it's a nicer red screen. I actually wouldn't be the way this does work, and it is quite a nice unit for the money. I actually wouldn't feel hard done by using it in work, to be honest with you. So I said I'll have some measurement, take some measurements. This is obviously a step block. This is a step block that I made. I don't know if you can see my initials in there. AM7 on there. This obviously I made this from what anybody that don't know what this is, you should know. Most people would read in these kind of measuring tools, but I do know that mechanics and other woodworkers and things like that use them. So what this actually is, a step block, is on a table, say on a milling machine, you'd have like a brace. You wouldn't always clamp your work down in a vise. You'd have like a T bolt that will go into the T slot that runs across the table on the milling machine, or another piece of equipment that uses the same kind of table. Could be a pedestal driller even, and that would go into the T slot, run along, and then you'd have that at the back, and you'd have a bracket that would rest on the certain steps, and you would have a nut on the top, and then you'd clamp your work down like that, so you'd have something resting on the on whichever level you want it to be on, and then you would clamp. Your work will be here in the middle, and then you would clamp it down like that. But I'll use this because it's been milled. I'll use this for the squareness of it as well when it comes to testing the set squares and things like that. So we better convert this to millimeters. Check the zero. Bring that in there. So we're reading 10.004 now. 03. 10.0. If I press down a little bit, yeah, that's probably right. 10.001, because I think it should have been 10 when I was making it. So it's probably a little tiny bit of rust build-up or something on there over time. So it looks about right. So turn that on. Check the zero. It's at millimeters. This Moore and Wright one. And we'll put that down on there, and we'll press down as far as we can, and that's giving us the same reading again of 10.01 across there. So what's the reading across the top? 3014. There we go, Chinese ones. .3012. So we'll do that again. 3012. 3014. Straight. No, 3013. 3013. 3012. So there's a slight difference there, which is strange because there wasn't with the other measurement. Now I say slip gauge, I mean feeler gauge. My proper engineering slip gauges were part of what was stolen out of my box the last place that I went to. So what we got here, these are Imperial. Got some gauges here. This one I thought was metric, but it's another Imperial one. I haven't even opened that one yet. I haven't needed to. We got on this one, we've got some metric at all. Oh, we've got a dual one here. So apparently this is just give that a wipe. Apparently this is 0.33 millimeters. So we'll test that first of all with the Moore and right. So 0.33. Yeah, that's right. So 0.332. 0.33 right on the end. Let's try right at the very tip. 0.33. 0.32 when I press down. So 0.33, and if I press down a little bit more I can get it to 2.2, but you know, that's how far you want to press down. Is a personal preference, but let's find that one again. There we go, 0.33. We'll try our Chinese check it zero again. So we're getting the same reading, 0.33 and 0.32 when I press down again. Exactly the same as the Moore and right one. Right on the tip, we'll try it. What again? We'll get it in there. 0.31, 32 again. So that one can go down as far as 0.31 when I really press down on the very tip. Let's bring these ones back to just right on the very tip again. 0.31, 3231 again. Again, so pretty much identical. Yeah, let's try this one. 0.63. Just wipe that. I will have a bit dirty hands now, but there's a bit of grease on there that will affect the measurement. They obviously put grease on them to stop them from rusting up, but zero. There we go. So 0.63 and 62 when I push down again. No 0.63, 62 when I push down again with this one. Let's try it on the tip. 0.63, 61 again when I push down on the very tip with the Chinese one. 0.62 and 61 again, exactly the same. So measurements being exactly the same with the gauge. I will try this again because we did have the odd one across, didn't we? So I'll use the thicker part of the so we got 3021 when I'm really pressing down. 3021. Three oh two five, 3022, 3021. Pressing down, really pressing down. So on that, I think we can base our judgment that these are just as good when it comes to measuring as the Moore and Wright one. They really are a good buy. They feel a decent quality. They feel almost exactly on par the movement as these Moore and Wright ones. Like some people have said, the Moore and Wright ones are more than likely, like a lot of things these days, made in China as well, but or the Taiwan, but they come from a really good source. That's why they're using them. You know, they're near professional quality, well, they are professional quality. That's why they're so good. They just come from one of the decent places out there. But if you look, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, even the etching on the two is pretty much in the same place as well. So for the money, I'd say they're pretty decent. You have to excuse, like I say, the flashing because the battery is telling me that the battery needs to be changed soon. But for the money, I'd say it's definitely a decent buy. Nicely constructed. If you can live with all the you know, the gobbledygook and things like that you might have on it here and there, you know, perfectly fine. I really wouldn't. I've got this. I bought this just as a quick usage thing. I wasn't expecting, like a lot of the other cheap imports, it to be much good, but I was very impressed with it, and just goes to show the reason why when I compare it against the Moore and Wright one, which is a heck of a lot more. A heck of a lot more money compared to this, and it stands up. So I wouldn't be ashamed to use this, actually testing it, especially now as well, pitting it against that in a workshop environment at work, or as a backup. I've actually got this as a backup now to the Moore and Wright. If the Moore and Wright is, because the both of them take different batteries, it's a good thing, because if you run out of one type of battery, or you can't get hold of sometimes other people in there, you can borrow a battery off if you do run out of your stock, because they've all got digital devices themselves, and they'll lend you a battery, and you can buy them one back the following day or whatever. You know, they'll have a few spare, and they'll let you have one. You can give them one back at a later date. And if you've got the two different battery types with you, you've got one with the regular button cell, which is more common, and you've also got the one with the bigger type, like the one that's in there, like that. Then you've got more options. Also, most digital micrometers take this LR44 battery as well, so you've got that. I know a lot more of the modern ones, the newer ones, to take these bigger batteries as well, but you've just got a lot of options going there if you take the both of them. For me, that would be a great spare for the work environment, and more than perfect at home with home machining, workshop use, DIY use, mechanic. If you're a mechanic, you don't. If I said before, you know, if you're a mechanic, you don't need anything more than the more and right, you don't need to spend any much more than the more and right, then you definitely, to be honest with you, for a mechanic's use, professional use, or a weekend warrior, you don't need anything more than that for what you're going to need it for with car mechanics. You know, measuring bolts, screws, things like that, nuts, you know, measuring diameter of inside diameter of holes, things like that. You know, if you're a mechanic and you're not going to use it for as much more as what an engineer would use it for, then this is a really good buy if you can pick it up. Like I say, I don't know if you can find them anymore. Guogen, part of MC. So if you can't find the Guogen, maybe you can find the MC. Is it there as well? MC. Maybe you can find it based on that. And I wouldn't any digital mics and any other things. If you see that, and that might be worth checking out as well. For instance, this turned out to be a decent buy. Like I say, I don't know, you know, how seriously you take those, but the unit itself is an actual good unit for the price.